7th already, 2019. Larry's with us. We still have to go old school. We don't know what's going on. I was able to use my cell phone and get in. He did try to get in. I heard something very garbled, and then he got off, and now he can't get in. So we're back to using the house phone on speakerphone to try it again. So go ahead, Larry. You there, Larry? Larry? Yeah. Oh, I don't have you on speaker. Hang on. That would help. Okay. Okay. You're live now.
All right, folks. We are back. Today is Friday, so if you have questions, go ahead and start getting them in. I do have a bit of a news flash. I don't know if any of you know it yet. But it turns out, as you will find out soon, that the so-called whistleblower, now this is the guy that we don't know if it's a he or a she, and of course we're being wrong by even identifying he or she, because nowadays there is no he and no she, we're just all it's. But that person, as it turns out, did not, are you listening, did not talk to a person that transcribed the phone call. He did not get a copy of the transcript of the call leaked to him. Here's what he actually did. He actually heard rumblings, supposedly, among people in the White House that supposedly such a call took place. And so then that person started the investigation on its own and pieced together what the transcript or what the phone call said. Now think about that. This whistleblower interloper didn't even talk to anybody about the phone call. That was on the call, that transcribed the phone call. He just talked to people around the quote-unquote staff that talked about the call. And that's why it now makes sense, don't you see, that Schiff and them were kind of shocked when Trump had the transcripts reclassified and released. They weren't planning on him doing that. And so the only transcript that would be available to the public would be the one that the supposed whistleblower released in his statement. But then we find something else out. The whistleblower that prepared the statement, get this, he didn't, or she didn't even prepare the statement. Has anybody told you that yet? He didn't. It turns out, if you can believe this, it looks like, I want to put it in that way right now. It looks like at this point, it was actually Adam Schiff's legal team that prepared the statement for the guy. For the guy. This is almost too much to even believe until you find out that they have been working on this for weeks. MSNBC, CNN, ABC, CBS. I'm not going to get out on any of that. I'm not going to get out on Washington Post, New York Times. I'm not going to get out on any of that. I never hear a word of it. Not a word. Then, during the hearing, the last part of the hearing, they played the dirtiest trick of all. Now, I'm not talking, at this point, I'm not talking about the trick of saying that, Trump's government is not democracy, or the government we have now is not democracy, and saying that this, meaning that committee, that's democracy. And of course, what he was talking about is not democracy, he was talking about socialism. But there's something else he did that was really, really sleazy. Does anybody know what it is or what it was? Anybody notice it like I did? I mean, it's good. Hey, they did a good job with it. It's good. Well, I'll tell you, it was the parody. The parody. You know what was ultra sleazy about the parody?
No.
It had a purpose. You see, it took less than probably a half a second to say the word parody. So as he was beginning to read it, he used the word, parody. Not many people heard that word. So if you were an untrained ear, if you were just a casual viewer, not a political, not somebody that studies politics and in the middle of all of these, just an average guy, what just happened to you was you missed the word parody. So you kept reading. You kept reading that thing. And if you were listening, after he said the word parody, you know what happened? He thought he was reading the transcript. There were at least half the people, more than half, but at least half the people that have heard him read that parody script in its entirety. I think that script was the actual transcription of the phone call. How slick is that? That's clever, buddy.
Now, I heard somewhere yesterday that what he read was not the actual transcript, but his version of kind of like an interpretation of what it meant.
That's it. That's what I'm talking about, man. It wasn't a transcript. It was his script that they wanted the people listening to believe. He was reading the actual transcript of the phone call. Down to, I'm only going to tell you this once, and 4 more times or 7 more times, everything he said in that was designed to incite the people listening, to make people believe that was what Trump said on the phone. How slick is that? Now it's been brought to their attention. People, including me, kind of got to the point to where, okay, Adam Schiff has gone too far now. He's done it. He's gone too far. So I've been asked, can we not get him kicked out? Even President Trump has said he needs to go, and he needs to go the sleaziest, most horrible things done by members of the United States Congress, because it is the most horrible thing done by members of the United States Congress to an American president in all our history. In all our history. He needs to go. Let's get rid of it. How do you get rid of it? You know how you got to get rid of Schiff? You know what's got to be done to get rid of Schiff? This will kill you. This will kill you. We've got to go. Well, President Trump has to go to the Ethics Committee of the House of Representatives. The Ethics Committee of the House of Representatives. And as it was pointed out to me earlier, isn't that an oxymoron? Yes, it is. That is a magnificent example of an oxymoron, truly. And by the way, since the majority rules, or the majority of the House, of course, is in Democratic control, the majority vote of the Ethics Committee is going to be, guess what? Democrat. Democrat. So needless to say, placing a lot of hope that the House Ethics Committee is going to get rid of Schiff. Didn't know happen.
Well, they probably wouldn't even censor him to block his votes on things, right?
What?
They would, the ethics committee probably wouldn't, not only will they not kick him out, but they wouldn't even censor him.
No.
If somebody's censored, doesn't that mean they can't vote?
Yeah, they're not even going to do that. The Ethics Committee will not go after Adam Schiff to get it. Won't happen that way. Well, what's the other way? The only other way, this will kill you. The only other way is Pelosi removing.
Is what?
Nancy Pelosi, to remove him from the chair of the committee. She can't kick him out of the House, but she can take him off the committee. So now that y'all know that, what are the chances of getting rid of Adam Schiff?
Well, the only other thing would be a recall by his district, which is most unlikely since they voted him in.
Exactly. And I don't know the demographics of his district, but where he's from, I find it very hard to believe that his district would find cause to get rid of him for what he's done to Trump. Very hard to believe. So isn't it a tangled web?
Yep.
You see the obstacles. See how the system's rigged. It's rigged. It's almost impenetrable.
Almost what?
I did say almost
Almost what?
impenetrable. But I did say it's almost impenetrable.
That gives
Now,
me
somebody said a question. What?
no quest. Oh, what's the difference between a whistleblower and a spy?
Well, that's a good question. What is the difference between a whistleblower and a spy? Well, first off, a whistleblower is a person who works a job and finds someone or the system or whatever that they're doing is violating the rules or the laws or whatever, and they do not feel they can go to their supervisor for fear their supervisor's in on it or something like that. That's a whistleblower, as we think of it in the civilian and in government. It means virtually the same thing. A whistleblower is a person that sees something wrong in their work area and feel as though their superiors are in on it, or they can't go to their superiors, but it is wrong or it's breaking the law, and they feel compelled to tell the truth or to tell about it. But most jobs, even in the government, are not security sensitive. So if you work for Social Security or you work for the whatever, for the Department of Education, the wrongdoing you find there most probably has nothing to do with national security. But when it comes to national security issues, so in other words, in the case of what we're talking about here, it's a toss-up. If the guy is right, and had he had told the truth, and the transcript of the phone call verified it, then he would be truly a whistleblower. But what we're learning is that he did not tell the truth about the transcript. So does that make him a spy? Now, he gets a pass at this point in time, at least. He gets a pass for being a spy in that he did not actually glean any secret or above information. Now, had he had actually talked to a person that did the transcript, and that person gave him a copy of the transcript, and he turned it through the whistleblower route, he would be safe as long as what he was alleging was true. But if it wasn't true, he would run the risk of being a spy, since the information was considered secret. It was considered information from our president to another world official. But he's on the border, y'all. But we do know half of it. He's not a whistleblower in the true sense. He's not a whistleblower in any sense. Because we found out also this guy was a Brennan CIA staffer. And none other than Brennan himself sent to the White House. And that's where it started coming out, y'all, that he has a political bias. And he does. And that's why the Inspector General, in his report, cited that the person had a high potential political bias.
Well, that almost seems to qualify him as a spy then, doesn't it?
No,
No? Okay.
that's not, because he did not handle, in this matter, he did not handle any secret material. Traitor, yes, I know. Traitor in that he is a part of a coup, an active coup to overthrow the President of the United States. Proud to say, I even heard, today I heard a clip from Mark Levin. First person I've heard say it that I can think of. about here all the time. This coup attempt is not over. It's very much still going. And it will continue to go, and it will continue to wreak havoc on our country until November of 2020. And Trump finally wins. Then it will be over. The coup. Now, where Levin stopped short when he said a coup, he spoke in terms of a coup to overthrow the presidency of the United States, which is true. But he didn't go as far as I do in saying that if you're committing a coup to get rid of the president of the United States, you're also participating in a coup to get rid of our former government. That he did not say yet.
And just to remind folks of what you said yesterday, when Schiff was saying that the example of, quote, democracy was what they were doing in the committee, was just showing how they are trying to overthrow our Constitution and run things a different way.
He's trying to show that if you let us become a socialist nation and we run things by committee, look how much more fair it's going to be.
Oh, yeah, right.
Mm-hmm. No one person then would have the power to do ever again what Trump has done.
James suggests that Trump needs to have a press conference to show how
Mention the fact that Trump hasn't done anything wrong. Now, what, Miriam?
Yeah, sorry for interrupting. James says Trump needs a press conference to show how desperate Schiff is to be lying like this.
I can tell you he's fixing to have one, James. Very, very soon.
Okay, Pam is asking, do FBI agents have to swear not to divulge information like this? How can Trump trust anyone, including those who record a transcript?
Well, that's all a function of the humanism. People that take the oath, yes, swear to uphold the rules and the law, which in many cases involves dealing with materials that are not allowed to be made public or shared with anyone. You know, in that case, folks, we have to believe the people that gave the oath until, if, and when they violate their oath. And when that happens, they must be prosecuted. And by prosecuting those that violate the oath, you convince others that they better live up to their oath. But there's nothing we can do. Nothing we can do to make people honor their word. Guys, there's nothing. You know, this is how far we've gone bad as a nation. This is how far down we've come. Our words don't mean anything anymore. The oath that people took doesn't mean anything anymore. Just like with me, I see all the people I meet in the military and other branches of government service that have taken an oath sworn to protect and defend the Constitution of the United States. All of them that didn't have a specific closing date that said you swear to protect and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, as long as you're in the Army, as long as you're a police officer, as long as you're whatever. If it doesn't say that, in my mind, in my heart, you're still obligated to it. hungry. Must you still support it? What you got here?
James asks, why doesn't Trump fire the head of the CIA for this? Well, you know, this was Brennan, not the current CIA head.
Not this is Brennan, not Ron Trump. Let somebody like this get in to this job. Folks, when you hear people work at the White House, all right, somebody works at the White House, that would be the same as somebody saying they work at Regions Bank. You know, just because somebody works at Regions Bank, the president of the bank in Atlanta, Georgia, that's where it was, I know where it is. President of the bank in Atlanta, Georgia, may not know who the teller is of the branch in Conway, Arkansas. The White House, believe it or not, is a busy complex made up of many, many offices, many different departments. And the president does not pick the people in every job down to hauling the garbage off. He doesn't pick those employees. Department heads pick those employees. And in a job like the one the whistleblower had, he is legally bound to that job. That person is put in that job by the head of the CIA. It's not the president's choice. Now, when the new CIA director came in, it would be within, I suppose, his purview to have fired that person the second he got there, and he would have to have known about him before he could fire him. And there are thousands of jobs in the CIA that he would, you know, he could possibly have known about this guy who was assigned to the White House library. He couldn't have known about that. What else?
Right.
Are you there?
Ryan says, get off your phone and pay attention. I'm not sure who Ryan's talking to or what that's about. Arthur says, Elizabeth Warren reminds him of the mean librarian that charged him 47 cents for an overdue library book in first grade.
Yes, good one. I agree. Now back to that, Ryan. I assume he's talking about me get off the phone and start paying attention.
No, he may be talking to somebody else that said something silly in the chat.
Oh.
So I'm not sure.
Anything else?
That's all we've got.
Folks, ask your questions, get them in.
That's all we've got right now.
All right. Is anybody listening today? Do we have any listeners?
We've got 52.
Okay.
We need to get more people on here, folks, so please share this. This is important information for people to know because this is something that Larry wants out. This is something I would imagine our president wants the truth told about since he's being falsely accused and everything else. Okay, Pam asks, you know how to share this, I assume, folks. There's an arrow underneath the video that shows you where you can share. So you can send it to through email, Twitter, all kinds of social media. Text it to people. So Pam asks, oops, I just lost it. It just scrolled up. Pam asks, can the whistleblower be transferred out?
Yes. And will be now, most certainly. I would imagine the whistleblower soon will be put on paid leave, unfortunately paid leave, while being investigated, while all this is being investigated. But I will say the whistleblower faces folks now that the truth is coming out. I would not want to be in the whistleblower shoes, that person's going to face prosecution before this is over. Prosecution.
Now, is our judiciary system honest enough to actually do something to this person because they're low enough level they get punished?
No, he didn't say when. I said he will be.
Okie
I
doke.
didn't mean to say now.
Okay.
Didn't do that.
All right, we've got a couple questions.
Right?
Since Warren is the front runner, can you talk about her involvement with the CFPB and how it will affect her campaign?
I don't know about that. I can't. I don't know enough about it to even know what those letters stand for, number one, and certainly not enough to be able to know what bearing it would have on the election. I'm sorry.
Okay. This is Megan says, have you read the statement by Victor Shokin?
No. Oh, wait a minute. The one where he told that they didn't really fire him. Is that the one? Is he not the person that was the one that Biden wanted fired? Can you answer that? If that's who it is, yes. The punchline of what he was saying was that whether he quit or forced to resign or whatever the situation, he was told that he had to leave that job for the benefit of the people and for his country. And so he left. But he didn't do anything wrong. He was not guilty of corruption, and supposedly people corroborated what he said, as I understand it now. If that's who you were talking about, I hope I got it right.
Yeah, the former prosecutor of
Yes.
Ukraine.
Ukraine. Yes. What else you got?
Hang on, I gotta scroll down. If an impeachment is in process, will that disqualify Trump from running for president?
No. I still find it hard to believe. My opinion, guys. My opinion. I still find it very hard to believe that they are going to push forward with an actual impeachment. I don't. If they do, they're fools. Number one, they have nothing legally. They have nothing, and I'm not saying this because I'm for Trump. I'm saying this because it just is the truth. They have nothing legally that meets the standards for an impeachment. They've got nothing. They can go so far with these wild, crazy allegations. They can go so far with them, and it's frustrating. You know, they can hold a big press conference. They can puff and talk and say all those things. But there's a difference between that and actually going through with an impeachment. Everything changes then. It gets serious then. It's real then. And they don't have anything. They've got nothing. And they know it. So if they go forward with an impeachment, they're gonna get nowhere. Nowhere. That's then they've got another problem. They've got so many Democratic freshmen or new congressmen that are in heavily competitive districts, many of which are strong she's too smart for that. You know that AOC isn't. You know, she doesn't have enough sense to know that Pelosi does. And then you got the other thing. The Senate will not. So the Republican controlled Senate will not vote. I repeat, will not vote to impeach President Trump. I know some of you are saying, well, there's a bunch of Republicans trying to vote. There are a bunch of Republicans that want to turn vote. And many are getting stalled. Have no doubt about it. They don't like Trump. They want to be a part of the system. They are a part of the deep state. Almost all of them. But right now, Trump's base is too strong. They can't afford to lose Trump's base. The Republican Party, as such, has no base in this country. Nothing to the degree you can measure it of any consequence. The only base of voters that exists against the Democrats is what's called the Trump base, hard and soft. Now, if the Republicans get to the point where they think Trump's toast, they'll desert him like rats off a sinking ship in a heartbeat. But if they do, I warn them, you better be sure he's gone before you make such a move. What else, ma'am?
Trump said today it's war. What can he do? That's Michael.
Michael says what?
Trump said today that it's war. So what can he do?
You're going to see a change in strategy of President Trump, in my opinion, but it's an educated opinion. Trump has been a counterpuncher, right? And all of he's been a counterpuncher. But the time for counterpunching is over. It's over. Now, President Trump is going to go on a full offensive posture. And yes, Mike, he knows, and is declaring now that he knows it is war. And I've told y'all forever, their wars are fought on many planes. There's the bang bang shoot 'em up wars. There's the financial wars. There's the trade wars. And guess what? There are political wars. It's a war nonetheless. And by virtue of the fact it is a war, it means you got to win it. Because if you don't win it, you lose it. He is fixing to go on an offensive plan. And one of the things that I think you will see him do, first, he will use his Twitter and his campaign rallies to apply pressure to Schiff. Schiff has played and overplayed his hand this time. They are caught this time. Now, when I say they're caught, no. If you watch MSNBC and CNN, no, you'll never see that they're caught. And no, you're not going to see it on every program or with every person on Fox News Network either. But he is caught. And Trump's going to have to use, while he still can, his Twitter and his campaign rallies. And he's got to start a campaign to expose Schiff for what he has done and what he is doing to the country. He will soon start pointing out that every person in America that has a Democrat, or in some cases Republicans that have been elected and are serving in the House of Representatives, the United States House of Representatives, that you need to be getting after because they have totally disregarded their duties and guess what? Their solemn oath to the Constitution, and they must start being held accountable. I would like to see in states or in districts where there is a Democratic representative that has been a 100% supporter of Schiff and the band of criminals. I'd like to see writ of mandamus actions brought against them. But it has to be brought against a House member in a district that you are in, because you have to file it. For example, I can't in Arkansas file one in California. It's got to be a person in that congressman or that representative's district. It's got to be somebody there. And a mandamus action, simply stated, for example, would be like if you elect me dog catcher, and you run around and see me for a year or better, or however long you see me, and I'm laying around, driving around, but I never catch dogs or cats. You never see me catch it all. I never catch it all. I sit around the office and play cards or dominoes or something. You have a right under law to file suit against me and force me through the court to do my job. I'll be fired. That's one way. Mandamus. They're not doing their job. They're not doing the job they swore to do. The second thing, you can try, although it probably would not succeed in many Democratic districts, but you could, in your district, start the movement for a recall for the purposes given. They're not doing their job. We didn't pay them to go there and be stooges for, what's his name? We didn't Schiff, or Adam Schiff, we didn't pay them to go there and just be at his beck and call and to simply harass the president. That's not what they're paid to do. Start a recall action in your district. It can be done.
How do you do that?
Go down and file.
Where would you file it?
Well, you need to go to federal court and find out what the rules are for a recall, special election. And they'll tell you have to have so many signatures. You'll have to comply with the rules. Now they're going to tell you with it this close to election, it's kind of ridiculous. And it kind of is, except for one thing. We want them to know we're coming after them. All right? Yes.
Well, wait a second.
Be able to meet the standards to get an actual recall election started. But just the noise you can make by setting up to start to try to do one is a big message being sent.
But we're not even halfway through the term with those that were elected in 2018.
I'm just telling you, that's what they're going to say to you.
Yeah, okay. Okay.
What else?
Okay, do you know any connection between Kamala Harris and the Obamas pushing her to be the nominee?
Do not. I don't think it is so much Obama pushing Kamala Harris, or however you say her name. It's not them as much as it is Hillary. Speaking of that, I just saw before I started trying to come on here, on Fox, somebody had a former senior advisor to Hillary during the last campaign, and they were asking that person about her comments about Trump. You know, he's a tornado, whatever kind of stuff, whatever she said. we're no longer going to be a constitutional representative republic form of government. We're going to be a socialist/communist government run by a committee of the elitists. Yes, there will be a figurehead, but the figurehead will just be a dodo brain. And they got a bunch of them running in this campaign. What else?
Do you think Pelosi will still proceed under the false basis of this atrocious lie? How can she proceed with impeachment without taking a vote in the House?
Let's say that again.
Do you think Pelosi will still proceed under the false basis of this atrocious lie? How can Pelosi proceed with impeachment without taking a vote in the House?
Yes, she is going to proceed on from this day until Election Day in 2020. If not with this latest flap, it will be another one that they have probably already drawn up and in the bullpen ready to go. And she will just not call for a vote. She will stall by saying we're still waiting for all of the evidence to come in. And she will soon start claiming that it's hard for them to close and complete the investigation when the White House is stonewalling. See, I tell you what, they're even going to say in the future. They're going to say that. That's what they're going to do.
Will Ryan asks if Hillary will go to jail.
No. Even if we're successful in prosecuting her, she will not go to jail. Not because she does not belong in one, but for some number of years still, she cannot be put in jail due to her position as State Secretary of State and the information that she holds that is still considered secret. So she would not be able to be put in jail.
Okay, Gilby asks, is it true that the Fed chairman's term is 12 years? Does Trump have to nominate someone to that position, or can he leave it vacant?
Well, according to the contract with the Federal Reserve, the president has to nominate somebody. I don't know how long he has to nominate someone. You know, I don't know if he's got 30 days, 90 days, a year, or forever. I just don't know. But he has to nominate the person.
Okay.
What else?
Can Barr look into the feminazi take, one for the team Blasey Ford, who lied about Judge Kavanaugh in her attempt to derail Trump's Supreme Court pick? Is it not very important to expose that fraud?
It's very important to me to expose that fraud, as I'm sure it is to probably many of you. But William Barr has to look at it in terms of priorities. And I don't know, with the high-level investigations that I know he is conducting at present, whether it would be advisable for him to go after that one. The best thing that could happen in that, which probably will not happen, would be Kavanaugh or some member of his family to go after her in civil court. That would not only be the best way, but it'd be the most expeditious. And like I told you, I doubt he does because of his position on the Supreme Court.
Okay, Ms. Miggins asks, would impeachment bring up the issue of CrowdStrike and the missing emails that Ukraine has?
No, not at all. As a
Why?
or an impeachment investigation, huh?
Why?
Because it's not, impeachment is about a specific high crime or misdemeanor or several crimes and misdemeanors. It's got to be specific. That is ancillary to it. Yes, to us, it's part of it. But we're dreaming. If we believe the Democrats who will call the shots, if there is to be an impeachment, we're dreaming to believe that they would allow the scope of the impeachment to deal with that, because they won't. It will not happen. I really don't want to bring you guys. It's just the facts, just the truth. Whatever.
Can the fake news CNN be challenged as a 24-hour advertisement for a political party during the election?
I would say yes. I would say yes. But here we go again. Who would bring the complaint? Because it would have to come from the Federal Election Commission, which at present is controlled by Democrats. And then even if they did find cause, here we go back to who you're going to call. What court would you take it to? And I'm not even sure who would have judicial standing to adjudicate such a case, albeit since no case like that to that magnitude has ever before been brought. So I just don't know. Whatever.
Can Trump use the FISA court to expose the traitors?
Yes. Well, no, Trump can't. Trump can't. Law can't. Now, Trump can publicly, assuming he can get the word out to the people somehow, some way. Law can legally. Assuming, of course, he can find a court to get it into.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
Alan says, do you see a day may come where the militia and American patriots will have to fight these people, and do you think the military will go against it?
I think the militia will go against who?
Well, I think he's concerned about the militia and American patriots rising up against these traitors.
Well, that's when I say going against who or whom, which is Alan.
Whom?
You're the wordsmith.
Whom? It's whom with an M at the end.
Okay. The reason I'm going who or whom, which is supposed to be whom, is back to what I've told y'all a million times. So he's going to shoot. You know, can we go directly against Adam Schiff? Can we form a militia and go against Adam Schiff and pick him up and arrest him and throw him in jail? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. You would be gunned down by the federal government, probably the United States military, the minute you try to set foot on the Capitol grounds, if not sooner. And you would be gunned down by red-blooded, true Americans that are sworn to protect and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic. And since you're violating, the militia would be violating our Constitution by not following the proper you. That's a horrible position for them to be in, and it's the worst position for you to be in. That's not the answer, guys. Rioting, destroying property like Antifa does, like so many of these groups do, and yes, like the white skinheads do, that's not the answer. It's not what we do. That's not what we do at all. All we got to do to change this, guys, all we got to do to change this is each and every one of us take a pledge today. A pledge ourselves, take a pledge today to do everything in our power to make sure that every human being we know that is considered to be for President Trump, either a lot for him or marginally for him, do everything in our power, each one of us, to make sure everyone we know shows up and votes. If they do, we win. The nation is safe, at least for a few years more.
Will Hillary be on the Central Committee?
I would say yes. While she is not held in great esteem anymore, I just never count the Clintons totally out. You know, on one side of me says no, because she, in their eyes, cost them the country that they should be in control of now, so they're very ticked at her. Very, very mad at her. But they have a tendency, the Clintons do, to stay alive somehow and keep popping up.
So if she's found to be a traitor, why can't she be executed?
If she was found to be a spy for another or foreign government, if she was found to be a spy for a foreign government, she could be executed. If she is found to have conducted treasonous, felonious acts against this nation, she would be in prison, but not shot.
And of course, if she, because of Secretary of State secrets, she can't go to prison. So what? They'll just keep her with a.
If she were tried, I would say if she were tried and convicted of treason, they would probably be forced in that case to put her in a maximum isolation cell for the rest of her life. That one would put her in an isolation cell all by herself for the rest of her life.
So, you know what to wish or pray for, huh? So, Carolla says, what do you know about the current military tribunals? I guess she thinks they're going on.
Military tribunals involving anything other than actions dealing with military issues are not happening. There are no quasi-military civilian, there are no military courts dealing with civilian matters of the area we're talking about. None, nada. It's not happening.
Yeah, I think Q's escalating from the comments I get from people, text messages, and what I see people writing on Facebook and so on. I think he's stepped up his game. And I mean, I even heard somebody say yesterday that there are now up to 120,000 sealed indictments. Oh, help.
Okay. And if that's what you want to believe, may I make a suggestion, please? If that's what you want to believe, I don't think you really want to be part of this group. Please, let me know. It's not true. It's not true. Do you hear me? It's not true.
Yeah.
I don't want anybody in this group that's with me and Mary Ellen and most of y'all. I don't want anybody in this group going around and propagating that kind of story and saying that you listen to me in this program. Mary Ellen, I don't want you to, because it makes life to somebody that doesn't know it. It seems like we're endorsing that or saying that too. We're not.
Yeah, I was interacting with somebody on Facebook this morning who seems to claim he has some kind of prophetic gift. So he was making some comments, and I said, "What is the source of your information?" And he did respond, and I appreciated that. And he said, "Q," with a big happy face afterwards. So I said, if you were getting your information directly from God, that's one thing. But please don't be spreading something that Q said that you don't have verification for. So, okay, next thing. James says, a rule from the Democrats' Satanic Bible, Rules for Radicals, says never stop attacking your enemy. Are they expecting Americans to surrender to communism, or is a civil war inevitable if Trump loses?
It's that if Trump loses, and probably if Trump loses, they expect this whole nation to go into submission instantly, essential. Remember, they're not going to, the day after the election, or let's go to last part of January 2021, when they're sworn in. They're not going to start up saying, okay, guys, now we're forming a new kind of government. We're not, a constitutional republic. They're not going to do it that way. They're going to use the steps I have told you. The first thing they're going to do is you're going to say, gosh, this financial crisis has gotten so bad, because they'll make it get bad or look bad. And to protect you, to protect your money, is what we're going to have to do. We're going to have to nationalize the banks. They are going to nationalize the banks. And all along this process, they're going to be proving and showing that our form of government has let us down, that Congress can't do anything. We can no longer count on Congress to pass laws to do anything. So therefore, we're going to have to modify the way Congress works. You're already hearing them talk about changing the Supreme Court. We've got to change the makeup of the Supreme Court because it's getting too conservative. Funny, they won't want you to change the format of the Supreme Court when it was liberal. And now, since it's getting a conservative bent, they want to change. And that's the way they'll do it, guys. And it will take them 6 months to a year to make these gradual. Now, they'll be fast, but they'll be gradual at the same time as it will appear. And one day you'll look up in 6 months to a year, and we will be there. We'll be there. And people will scratch their heads and say, how did this happen? Part one will be, how did this happen? Part two will be trying to find someone to blame. And then it will be quite a while before we get to the point to where people finally realize that we end up like Venezuela and start getting mad. And that's why I say it won't be us. It won't be our children, most probably, but our grandchildren and great-grandchildren are going to end up fighting. They will.
Somebody's saying that Pelosi needs to be removed, and I think the answer for her removal is the same as what you said for Schiff, that the first thing would be the ethics committee, which will go nowhere, and then also would be people in her own district need to recall her.
Talking about Pelosi?
Yeah.
She's talking about her. She's talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, that has to come from, yes, the ethics committee could do it if they want. The other thing that could happen, they could call a vote from the caucus, Democratic caucus, and they could vote her out of her position as Speaker of the House. But let me tell you, if they do that, anybody got an idea who the new Speaker of the House would be if the Democratic caucus today voted her out of office?
Schiff or AOC?
AOC.
Wow.
Look, guys, Pelosi's in a tough seat. I'm not going to give her any credit for anything, but I am going to be at least honest about it. She's in a tough seat. She sees the Democratic presidential primary. She sees what's going on there. And she sees that the hard left base of the Democratic Party is lining up totally behind AOC and the squad and the New Green Deal and all of this going banana stuff. She sees that. And she's got to be realistic. She's got to recognize that. And in her seat, were I there, I would have to almost take a daily count. Is the AOC element large enough at this point to take over the party, or does she still have enough centrist, old guard heads still there to hold on to it? And I don't know, and I don't think she knows. Like I say, it's daily at this point. And she may be letting Schiff go out and do this stupid maneuver. I'm just hypothetically throwing this out, so I don't know this to be a fact, guys, so don't take it as my opinion as a fact. I'm just saying possibly a real stretch of a possibility could be she's letting Adam Schiff hang himself and get this out of his damn blood. So hopefully he doesn't keep doing it.
Chris asks,
She wants to roast Trump every day till election day and beat him, don't doubt that. But I can't believe she's going along with the obvious crazy tactics that Schiff and Nad are using. She's too smart for that. What, Mary?
what exactly constitutes treason for a military court to be used?
Giving information to an enemy of this nation. Spying for a foreign government against this nation. Treason is very specific.
And they could use a military court then for that?
They could. Probably wouldn't, but they could.
I think that's why so many people are going along with Q, expecting military tribunals, because we know there are so many people who we think have committed treason.
Well, there have been people who have been committed of treason, specifically the husband-wife team that was, convicted of treason, but they were convicted by a civil court, not a military court. So I can't tell you today if somebody were to be prosecuted for treason. I can't tell you today which court would be chosen. I think in that case, either court could apply.
You talking about the Rosenbergs in the 50s?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Subject of one of my history papers. There's
Anything else? Oh, we go.
yeah, would it be fair to stand and defend and fight along with the militia and people making a decision as it seems fit to them, no matter the consequences? I mean, who are you going to shoot at?
My answer to that is very personal. Each one of you in that situation, it would be incumbent on you and nobody else what you would decide to do. It would. But as Mary Ellen said, if you choose to side with a militia group that has chosen that path, go at your own risk. But who are you going to shoot? You're going to kill a good American that has a family of good Americans in this country, most probably. We all have visions in our daydreams Mary Ellen and all of you, you know, that there are visions in your daydream mind of this day when we all have to suit up and go fight, and the enemy is some foreigner, probably Chinese or whatever. That's not who it will be in the beginning. It will be Americans against Americans in the beginning.
So this person that keeps talking about the military and standing with them, I think she's feeling very discouraged at so little being done. And we're getting it. We tend to get very impatient as Americans, and there are things that will happen in Trump's.
I would tell everybody the second I see, and I cannot tell you how, Mary Ellen cannot tell you how, that she knows I'm telling the truth. I assure you, if I ever see that we have no hope, if I ever see that day, I will see it. I will see it before most people will. I'll tell you. I will tell you. It will not be something I will tell you with any amount of glory or honor or happiness, but I would be forced to tell you, and I will. An indicator you can look for to help you know I have given you before. A good key to what the future holds relative to William Barr is what he does with Andrew McCabe. Now, the day he announces and declares, if he does, which I do not think he will, but if that ever came where he declares he is not going to prosecute McCabe and does not give a real good statutory reason. By that I mean, unless he can show us statutorily or by law, unless he can show us by law why he could not, then we will know then that Barr is no different than all the other deep staters.
We're definitely.
Even if that occurs, that will be a setback, no doubt. That would not mean the end to us. The end to us comes November of 2020. If Trump loses, then we have no way to retaliate or recourse to change it. So don't lose your faith. Don't lose your hope. Remember, we are talking about the greatest crime ever committed against the government of the United States of America in our history. You understand? The greatest crime against our government in the history of our country. And if you're prosecuting in this situation, knowing the power of the deep state and how deep it is, and the control they have over the judicial branch, the legislative branch, yes, every branch, the power they've got within every branch, you too would be extremely cautious. And it will come slow, and it better come slow. Because when prosecution day comes, it better be right, because you'll get one chance, folks. Let's say you, we will get one chance at this, and whoever is doing it, whether it be Barr or anybody else, whoever is bringing forward the charges against all these people, whoever's doing it, they damn well better get it right, because they're going to get one chance, or then it's over for sure. Remember, in these cases, if you go after Comey and you miss, you'll never be able to go after him ever again. Nobody will. If you go after Obama and miss, you'll be forever free of being prosecuted. executed again. Same whole string in all of them. So be cautious. Caution means slow. Getting, I don't need to tell you, surely you can know that getting evidence and building your case with the deep state fighting you at every turn, you see how that's going to be slow. But you got to do it. So please stop being impatient to the point where you become disheartened due to the lack of activity. Things are being done. I swear to you that. And I do know. That's not my opinion. I know that to be a fact. Things are being done.
Do you know what, if anything's being done to dissolve the jihad camps around the country?
What?
Is anything being done to break up the jihad camps around the country? The ISIS camps?
Yes. It is being done. But I do not know the specifics of what's being done. And if I did, I could not tell you. But I can tell you with certainty, once again, this I know to be a fact. They are.
Okay, last question. Is the Hollywood industry a CIA operation?
I don't know if it's as much a CIA operation, or if it is a CIA operation. Maybe some of them are. But I believe, my opinion, they are very much a part of the Progressive Council, the globalist group. They're very much that. Now, I don't know today who the shakers and movers are in Hollywood, but I assure you the real power in Hollywood is 100% in concert with the globalists. Because if they're not, they ought to be, because they're sure doing their work for them.
Well, you can see it by, the clothes, the symbols, there's just so many ways that you can see that they're very, very much in line with that.
But, this is another thing about our generation, our population today. We are too much allow the movies to be reality, and they're not. They're not. I get so frustrated when I see people, these quote unquote nutbag fans of these movie stars, because we think of the movie star being the person that they play in the movies on TV, and that's not who they are. They're playing a part. There's been one actor. Now, there used to be a lot of them. A lot of the 50s and 60 actors, especially like John Wayne. I met him. I talked to him at an airport once in Dallas. He was, to me, I didn't know him per se, met him once. But he was, in his private life, who he was on screen most of the time. He was, to me. But so was Dean Martin, so was Jimmy Stewart, so was Robert Mitchum. These are guys I met, and they were real. I met them in their senior years. George Putnam took me to a watering hole that they were all at a couple of times. And we sat and visited and drank, and they were very, very much Americans in the traditional sense. But the new ones, I don't know. I don't think so. Not a bunch of them. saying that there aren't any. I'm just saying, sure don't look like the majority of them are our kind of people.
Yeah.
Just doesn't look that way.
Okay.
What else we got?
One more interesting question came in. Do you think there's a cesspool of terrorism in Dearborn, Michigan?
Yes. Yes, I do. I believe Dearborn, Michigan is one day a caliphate that's fixing to rear its head. And when it does, I don't know what we're going to do. I ask you all to think of the conundrum. Just think of the conundrum it would be if the Muslims in Dearborn, Michigan declare tomorrow that they're running all non-Muslims out of Dearborn. And from this day forward, Dearborn, Michigan is going to be an Islamic caliphate. They're no longer going to adhere to the Constitution of the United States. They're going to be strictly an island of Sharia law. How are we going to get rid of it? I mean, you do understand I can never see a day that we would line up our military, which we can't do anyway because the Prosecutor taught us, but assuming we can take the Guard, the Michigan National Guard, surround the town, and if they didn't give it up, we unload mortars and cannons, tanks, load places to bits like Felicia. You can't see that, can you? I can't. I don't know what we would do. Do we go in street by street, house by house, flush them out? How would we get rid of the caliphate if Dearborn, Michigan ever declared itself to be one?
Well, it's gotten so dangerous for any non-Muslim to even go into that area. And
It's going to get worse.
now, is that true for Minneapolis too?
Let me say this, the only reason it's not a caliphate right now, I believe, my opinion, the only reason it's not a caliphate right now is because of Omar and others. They're making great strides in penetrating other parts of the country. Whereas if they start a caliphate now, announce it now, it would probably kill any other regions of America turning Muslim or Islamic. So they may be holding off because they're making such gains otherwise. Yep. Same thing with 9/11. Why has there not been another 9/11 yet? Partly because maybe they have tried, but I don't think there's been anything in the scale of 9/11 that has been tried and caught. But one of the reasons they're not doing another 9/11 yet is because 9/11 is still working. We're still reaping benefit from what they got out of 9/11. They sure are. And if you understand Muslims like I do, you know that they're going to ride this until it stops working for them. But it's worked for them, and it's still working for them. They have dealt us serious blows in 9/11. Much more than just blowing down the two towers and the third building. Much more than that. Look what they did to us with the Patriot Act that is still beating us every day. Look what they're doing with 9/11. They've still got us in countries with our soldiers that we're never going to get out of. They're still killing Americans every day. Thanks to 9/11. Anything else, Mary Ellen?
No, sir.
All right, folks, weekends here. Sure could use help if you can. Need your help today and tomorrow.
And Sunday.
If you can. So with that, Mary Ellen, I'm gonna hop off.
All right.
Going as long as I can.
Sure, you've gone overtime. I can hear it in your voice. Thank you for being here, Larry.
All right, guys. Thank you. See
Okay.
you now.
All right. Bye. So yeah, with the weekend, Larry could sure use as much help as you can offer. And so we'll just go do this quickly. His PayPal account is nicholslive@aol.com. The website nicholslive.com has a link to the PayPal. It has his address if you want to mail cash. He cannot cash checks. So if you want to do a check, you need to send a text message to the phone number that's on the website, 240-499-6729, and I can help you figure out how to donate if you don't do PayPal and don't want to send cash. Please share this video. Please like the video, and please invite other people to come listen. Thank you. And I'm sorry my head is down a lot while Larry's talking, but I am taking notes in very sloppy handwriting. But I'm looking down because my computer is on a TV tray in front of me, and there isn't room for my notepad to be high enough that I can be looking straight at you instead of looking down at my lap. And I am not looking at my phone. My phone is way over here on the side where I am also watching the chat. I am watching the chat on my computer as well as on the phone. And so I do not have my phone that I'm looking at. I see the chat right here. And so my head is down because I am taking notes. So I'm transcribing all of these conversations with Larry. It's something I've been doing for 3 years. So if you need to ask questions about something, you can get hold of me and I can help. But I will not mail out my chicken scratch for anybody, and I don't have time. There was a time when I would take my shorthand and transcribe it so everybody could read it, and I would pass it out, and I just don't have time to do that right now. It took a lot of hours to do that. But that's why my head is down. That's why I'm not looking straight at the camera all the time, because I am taking notes and my paper is down on my lap. So thanks for being here. We'll talk again on Monday. If an emergency comes up, then, hopefully you'll get a notification if we have to do something over the weekend. But otherwise, we'll just expect to be here Monday. God bless you. Thanks for any help that any of you do for Larry. We really do appreciate it. Thanks. Have a great weekend. Bye.